To today's video on devices and the types of users that uses them. We are also going to look at the input, output, and peripheral devices that goes with each user type. Not all computer users needs the same kind of machine. Different people do different jobs, so they need different devices and peripherals. Today we're going to look at 7 user types and see what makes each one choose their computer setup. They are entry-level home users, students or mobile users, SOHO, your small office home office users, power users, gamers, architects and designers, and scientists and engineers. As we go through each one, notice the pattern. More demanding jobs need more powerful computers and specialized tools. An entry-level home user does basic everyday tasks. They browse the internet, check email, use Microsoft Office for documents, watch videos, and stream movies. They don't need a powerful machine because these tasks don't demand much from the CPU or RAM. When they look at storage, they might look at an HDD between 256 and 500 GB, or an even small built-in SSD between 125 and 225 GB. For RAM, they will opt for anything between 2 to 16 GB, and a general standard CPU would be enough. The cost is low and the machine is reliable enough for everyday light use. For input, an entry-level home user just needs a standard keyboard and mouse, nothing fancy. Just comfortable enough for typing emails and browsing. For output, a basic monitor and a pair of speakers or headphones are fine for watching videos and listening to music. As peripherals, they might have a simple inkjet printer for the art assignment or form, and maybe a USB flash drive or small external hard drive to store family photos and backups. Whether or not we are talking about students, all of them need their devices to be portable because they have to be moving between school, home, and the library. The device they'll need will be a mid-range laptop or tablet. For storage, an SSD would be preferred because an SSD means fast boot, quick loading, and better protection if the laptop is bumped. Extra files can go to the cloud or an external drive. For the RAM, between 8 to 16 GB so they can multitask without freezing. And the CPU, a mid-range processor which is strong enough for multiple tabs, office, and school apps to run all at once. Because the laptop already has a keyboard and a touchpad, the user might prefer simply to use an input device such as a mouse. For output devices, they can prefer a speaker or headphones when they listen to music. And again, peripheral devices could be a printer. They will also make use of a flash disk if they have to transfer something from one computer to another. SOHO users run a small business from home, which includes invoices, quotes, emails, spreadsheet, online meetings. The device needs to be a reliable desktop or laptop that can run all day, plus printers and good internet. If we look at the storage, they will usually have a dual setup, a 256 to 520 GB SSD for the operating system and programs, and a 1 to 2 TB HDD for documents and backups. When they look at RAM, 8 to 16 GB so the system stays responsive, and the CPU, a mid to upper range which is strong enough for several business apps to run at once. For input, a SOHO user typically uses a full-size keyboard and mouse for comfort during long work sessions. If they scan documents, the scanner function on a multifunctional printer is also an input device. For output, they work with a desktop monitor for documents and spreadsheets, and a printer is essential to produce invoices, contracts, and other business paperwork. As peripherals, they usually have a multifunctional printer which can print, scan, and copy, a reliable external backup drive for business data, and sometimes a USB headset or desk phone for online calls with clients. Power users work with big files and many apps, which includes video editing, programming, large spreadsheets, design, and analytics. The device has to be a high-spec desktop tower with 2 monitors to see more at once. If they look at the storage, they will probably choose an SSD that has 256 GB to 1 TB for the operating system, program, and current projects, plus a 2 to 4 TB HDD for older projects and archives. When we talk about the RAM, 16 to 30 GB is enough for big programs and many types to run smoothly. And the CPU is usually a high-end multi-core processor. It must be able to handle heavy-duty work without slowing down. For input, power users uses a good quality keyboard and mouse, sometimes ergonomic models to reduce strain, and they might add a graphics tablet if they do design work. For output, they almost always have 2 monitors or an ultra-wide screen so they can keep code, documents, emails, and tools open at the same time. As peripherals, they often use external hard drives for projects, archives, a USB hub or docking station for all their devices, and card readers if they work with cameras and other removable media. Gamers are a special kind of power user focused on graphics. The device they need is a gaming desktop with a strong GPU and gaming peripherals. For storage, they look at a fast SSD in the range of between 256 GB and 1 TB, and they might also use an external to save extra games and media. For the RAM, 16 GB is standard for modern games, and 32 GB is better for streaming and future games. The CPU is a mid to high-end gaming processor that can handle the game and background apps. For input, a gamer uses a gaming mouse with high sensitivity, a mechanical keyboard with fast keys, and sometimes special controllers like a gamepad, racing wheel, or joystick. For output, the key device is a high refresh gaming monitor to show smooth motion, plus a gaming headset with microphone for team chat, and sometimes surround sound speakers for immersion. As peripherals, gamers might add extra game controls, external drives to store more games, and cosmetic extras like RGB lighting strips and gaming mouse pads. These don't add performance, but they are part of a typical gaming setup. Architects and designers use heavy software, for instance CAD, which they need for 3D printers, 3D modeling software, Photoshop, and Illustrator. The device itself is a workstation class PC or powerful laptop with a large, color-accurate monitor and a pen tablet. And don't forget the GPU. For storage, they will probably be looking at a fast SSD with space between 1 and 2 TB for the operating system, software, and current projects, plus external drives to archive old projects, which can be huge. RAM is typically in the area of 32 GB or more for big design and 3D files that uses a lot of memory. The CPU has a high-end or workstation CPU for rendering and complex models. For input, Architects and designers use a precision mouse and a pen or drawing tablet so they can sketch and make very accurate adjustments in CAD or design software. They will also make use of a keyboard as well as a mouse. For output, they rely on a large, high-resolution, color-accurate monitor and sometimes a second screen so they can see the fine details and true colors when they design. As peripherals, they may use a high-resolution scanner or camera to bring out sketches or textures into the computer, and external hard drives to store and back up big project files. Scientists, chemists, and engineers run simulation, models, and data analysis on large data sets. The device would be a workstation PC with one or more large monitors, and also with a GPU. If you look at storage, they will use an SSD with 1 to 2 terabyte storage space for the operating system, tools, and active data sets, plus very large HDDs or central servers for datasets and backups. Losing research data would be a disaster, so backups are critical. In terms of RAM, they want large RAM, from 32 to 64 gigabytes, depending on how big the datasets and models are. They also need a very strong multi-core processor for simulations, can use many cores all at once. For input, scientists and engineers use a keyboard and a mouse, but they may also connect laboratory equipment and sensors that send data to the computer, such as data loggers, probes, or measuring instruments. For output, they depend on one or more large monitors to view graphs, simulations, and reports clearly. As peripherals, they often use external drives or connections to a central file server to store huge data sets, and sometimes a UPS, an uninterrupted power supply, to keep the computer running during power shortcuts so that their long simulations are not lost. So, here's the pattern across all user types. For entry level and students on the low to mid end, lighter tasks, less CPU, 14 to 60 gigabyte RAM, and smaller storage. Soho sits in the middle with a reliable machine, 18 to 60 gigabyte RAM, SSD, plus storage backup. Power users, gamers, architects, and scientists are on the high end with strong CPUs, 16 to 64 gigabyte RAM, large fast SSDs, plus extra storage. So the rule is, the more demanding the job and the bigger the files, the more powerful the CPU, the more RAM, and the larger and faster the storage needs to be. There's no questions for today. You can only complete your summary. Remember that it's best to do it from memory without looking at your notes, and this should help you to prepare before exam. One more thing before we start with the summary. It's always a good idea to remember that all these devices needs to be connected and to look at the different ports that is used to connect them. So, for your summary, you need to know the different users. There are 7. You also need to know what the RAM needs, storage needs, CPU and GPU is. And you also have to explain why you need them, and then recommend input, output, and peripheral devices for each. Thank you for watching today, and please subscribe for our next video, which is on screens and servers. We will look at display technology and network infrastructure. Have a good day and thank you again. Bye.